Hello, football fans. We are ready for NFL picks for week number 10 in the league where they play for pay. Great to be back with you. The best audience in all of YouTube continues to be right here. Week 10 already? Are you kidding me? How fast is this season going by? It's ridiculous. I was 11-3 last week, 98-31 after 9 weeks. Remember, we have the Monday Night Football game tonight. I'm recording early this week again. 4 teams on a bye this week. Baltimore's on a bye after they play in New Orleans tonight. Cincinnati on a bye. They're up to 5-4. Laid it on Carolina. Mixon had 5 touchdowns. Patriots are off. They're up to 5-4. Totally shut down Indianapolis. And the Jets are on a bye. How about the Jets? They're up to 6-3. Beat Buffalo. I thought Zach Wilson was solid. I thought the defense played really well. This Sauce Gardner, I mentioned him before. He is a player. So what a great job by the Jets beating Buffalo, and 6-3 overall. They're on a bye as well. All right, here we go. NFL week number 10, pick number 1. Let's go to Germany. Yeah, let's go to Germany. How many times have I started the show with that? Let's go to Germany. Because the NFL and they want to conquer the world. They want to play everywhere. Let's play in England, on the moon, Australia, Germany, Spain, Mexico, Canada. So we have a game in Germany this week of all places. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are -2.5 against the Seattle Seahawks. Tampa Bay is up to 4-5, beat the Rams. Tampa did nothing on offense for pretty much the whole game, but then put that last drive together at the end. They get in the end zone. They steal the game from the Rams. The Bucs go to 4-5, which doesn't sound like much, but in that division, first place. And how about Seattle? Seattle's up to 6-3, beat Arizona. What a job the Seattle Seahawks are doing. Pete Carroll has to be up for Coach of the Year. And listen, there's other candidates. I know, the Eagles coach, the Giants, the Jet coach. I understand all that. Pete Carroll's got to be right up there with all of them. He's coaching his ass off. 6-3 and in first place in what we thought was going to be a very good division. And how about Geno Smith? Geno Smith, to me, looks like comeback player of the year. And we didn't even think he was in the league last year. Are you kidding me? I am shocked. Seattle is 6-3 and in first place and playing this well. Shocked. And I am also equally shocked at how well Geno Smith is playing. Shout out to 2 of my loyal listeners, Ryan G. in Richmond, Virginia, and his good friend Amy. Ryan G.'s a big Seahawk fan in Richmond, Virginia, of all places. And his good friend Amy. Ryan, how about the Seahawks? Did you ever think they were going to have this kind of season? You have to be shocked. I hope you're enjoying it down there in Richmond, Virginia, 2 of my loyal listeners. As far as this particular game, Tampa Bay -2.5 against Seattle in Germany, I'm going to move it to 8.5 in a 2-team 6-point teaser and take the Seahawks. Tampa Bay still has a lot of problems scoring. They look like they're incapable of blowing anyone out. The Seahawks defense has played better recently. They're in every game. They're playing well. I have to like the Hawks with 8.5 points to at least stay close, if not win the football game in Germany. Have to like the Hawks here. You can't trust Tampa Bay just yet. They still look offensively challenged. That offensive line is still a mess. I gotta like the Hawks plus 8.5 in a 2-team teaser. That's pick number 1 from Germany. Pick number 2. Let's go to the Windy City in Chicago, where the Chicago Bears are -2.5 against the Detroit Lions. Lions up to 2-6, beat Green Bay. They pick off Rodgers 3 times. Chicago, they're down to 3-6, had a tough loss to Miami. Chicago's completely flipped now. In the beginning of the year, they had no offense and played good defense. Now they're scoring some points and can't stop anybody. So they've completely flipped. This is a mess. This is just a complete mess. All we need here is snow. And the Lions, the first couple times they've been outdoors this year, haven't played well. But having said that, 2-team teaser 8.5, I gotta like the Lions. I think this is a field goal game either way. I don't love either team. Both teams have serious problems. I think it's a close game either way. So I am going to move it to 8.5 and take the Lions in a 2-team teaser reluctantly. Because like I said, the couple of times the Lions went outdoors this year, they were awful. I hope they can play a little better here. I think they will. Division game. Let's say it's a field goal game either way. I'll take the Lions plus 8.5 in a 2-team teaser. That's pick number 2. Pick number 3, let's go up to Buffalo. With the Buffalo Bills are -7 against the Minnesota Vikings. How about the Vikings? 7-1. They've won 6 in a row. Come back and beat Washington. They're down 10 points in the fourth quarter. Come storming all the way back. I feel like I'm watching the same game every week with Minnesota. They find a way to win in the fourth quarter. Now, I know their schedule hasn't been great. And I think all the teams they've beaten have been, had losing records, with the exception of maybe Miami, and they played them with a third-string quarterback. But you play who you play, and you have to beat these teams. And I'd be killing the Vikings if they lost to these teams. So you have to give them credit. 7-1, running away with the division. Look like they're going to have a home game for sure in the playoffs. Still in contention for that top seed, although they're behind the Eagles and lost to them. The Vikings are doing a tremendous job. Then you got Buffalo. They're down to 6-2, lost to the Jets, and what a disappointing second half of the Buffalo Bills. They scored 3 points in the second half, and how about that last drive of the game when all they need is a field goal to tie the game, and they just self-destructed. The Bills will lay one of those on you from time to time. Remember last year in Jacksonville? Remember this year in Miami? Now here in the Meadowlands, where the offense just can't do anything, which is shocking because they're so explosive. They didn't do diddly-poo in the second half. And give the Jets all sorts of credit. Their defense played well. But the Bills got to be better in the second half. Come on. This is the big, bad Buffalo Bills, and this is our year. This is the Bills' year. That was a putrid second half offensively for the Buffalo Bills. All you need is a field goal at the end of the game, and you basically self-destruct. They were going backwards. Oh, that was not a pretty loss for the Buffalo Bills at all. And listen, they're fighting for top seed. They need top seed in the AFC so they can host all these games. It could mean all the difference. If they play the Chiefs, they want to play them in Buffalo. They don't want to go to Kansas City. So that was a bad loss by the Bills and a bad offensive performance in the second half. Having said that, the Bills are 7-point favorites here. Listen, I'm going to move it to 1 and take the Bills. You can make a case for taking the Vikings the other way. I just think the Bills coming home are going to rebound, and I think the Vikings are due for a loss. I think they're due. Now listen, if the Vikings ever won this game, I will talk about them next week for 5 minutes straight, and I will throw them all sorts of bouquets. I think they're due for a loss, and I think this is a bad spot for them going into Buffalo, and the Bills just lost. You have to think the Bills are going to rebound here. I'm going to move it to 1 and take the Bills. That's the safe play here. If you like Minnesota the other way, couldn't argue with you. And like I said, Minnesota wins this game, I will show them all sorts of respect next week. I think the Bills rebound here and get the job done. The Vikings are due for a loss. So I'll go Buffalo to rebound. That's pick number 3. Pick number 4. Let's go to Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, where the Kansas City Chiefs are -9 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville up to 3-6, beat Vegas, so we'll get to Vegas later. Jacksonville's down 17-0 in this game, came all the way back to win. And then you have Kansas City, they're up to 6-2, beat Tennessee in overtime. Boy, they struggled. They struggled in this game. They were lucky to escape in this game. Remember, Tennessee was playing with the backup quarterback. Had no passing game at all. Tannehill was out, and Tennessee gave Kansas City fits. But Kansas City pulled it out in overtime. Listen, 3-team teaser, super teaser, whatever. You got to like the Chiefs here. I know Jacksonville won last week. I'm not ready to say Jacksonville's going into Kansas City and winning. So I'm going to go Kansas City in a 3-team teaser, 4-team teaser, super teaser, whatever. Kansas City to win the football game at Arrowhead. Jacksonville's not ready for this. That's pick number 4. Pick number 5. Let's go to the Steel City in Pittsburgh, where the New Orleans Saints are -3 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Saints, of course, play at home tonight against Baltimore. Pittsburgh 2-6 coming off a bye. It's going to be a long year for the Steelers. They're in total rebuild mode. This is another one of these sloppy, ugly, messy games. I'll move it to 9 and take Pittsburgh just because the Saints, Home on Monday night, short week on the road. Pittsburgh usually shows some pride at home, coming off a bye week. I think it'll be close. I'll take the Steelers with 9 there at home to at least keep it, within distance. Maybe a field goal game either way. That's pick number 5. By the way, and I've been talking to a lot of fans about this, the last few weeks we have not had many matchups of winning teams. I think 2 weeks ago we had like one matchup of winning teams. Last week only a couple games. This week, not many matchups where both teams have winning records. Other than Buffalo, Minnesota, I think that could be it, really, as I'm looking at the schedule. Not many great games in the NFL the last few weeks. And there's a lot of teams with losing records. I think 18 of the 32 teams have losing records right now. And a lot of fans have been complaining about that. A lot of fans aren't betting anymore. A lot of fans have been complaining about how many bad teams there are in the NFL this year. All right, so moving right along, let's go to pick number 6. Let's go to the Meadowlands in New Jersey, not too far from here. With the New York Football Giants, a -6 against the Houston Texans. Texans down to 1-6-1, lost to Philly at home on Thursday Night Football. Gave Philly a run in the first half, but then faded away in the second half. That's been the Texans' MO. They kind of hang around, but can't get the job done. And then you got the Giants there, 6-2 coming off a bye. I'm going to move this line to 12 and take the Texans. The Giants are in nothing but close games. They win most of them, but they're in nothing but close games. And the Texans are in a lot of close games too. They just lose them all. So, the Giants will probably eke this game out, but it'll probably be close. So I'm going to move it to 12 and take the Texans to hang around in this game. That's pick number 6. Pick number 7. Let's go to South Beach, Miami. When the Miami Dolphins are -5.5 against the Cleveland Browns. Browns are 3-5. They beat Cincinnati on Monday Night Football before having a bye week. And then you got the Miami Dolphins. They're up to 6-3. They beat Chicago in another high-scoring shootout. They get Chubb in a trade. That's a great trade for Miami. They need to beef up that defense. The offense is good with those receivers and the quarterback. Miami can score. It's a strange game. I'm going to move it to 11.5, and I'm going to take the Browns. I think the Browns can get some things done on offense against Miami. Miami's been giving up some points. They score a lot, but they give up a lot of points recently. So I think the Browns can get some points, keep it close. I'm not saying the Browns can outright win, but I like the 11.5. Most of the games in the NFL this year have been close. Browns coming off a bye and a win. I'm going to say they keep it close. I'll move it to 11.5 and take the Browns there. That's pick number 7. Pick number 8, let's go down to Nashville, Tennessee, with the Tennessee Titans at -1.5 against the Denver Broncos. Denver is 3-6 coming off a bye. Tennessee down to 5-3, lost a heartbreaking game in Kansas City. I mean, they played as hard as they possibly could. I thought the defense did all they could. They just had no passing game. They had that running game going, but couldn't get anything done with the young quarterback Willis in the passing game because Tannehill was out. But Tennessee played hard in that game. Another strange game. Listen, if Tannehill's out, I would just look at the under in this game. If Tannehill plays, wrap around teaser and take Tennessee +4.5. I think Tannehill will play this week, so I'm looking at Tennessee here +4.5 and a 2-team wrap around teaser. If he doesn't play and it's Willis, maybe just look at the under. It should be like a 10-9 game down there in Nashville. That's pick number 8. Pick number 9. Let's go out to the desert in Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Raiders are -6 against the Indianapolis Colts. Colts down to 3-5-1, lost to New England, got totally shut down. The young quarterback Ellinger did nothing. Now the coach of the Colts got fired today. The Colts are a complete mess. And now you wonder, with whoever the interim coach is he going to go back to Matt Ryan at some point? I mean, what do you do now? The Colts are a disaster. Complete disaster. I mean, every year with the changing of these veteran quarterbacks, it didn't work. Now you go to Ellinger, that's not working. What a mess. What a mess the Colts are. Speaking of messes, how about the Raiders? They're down to 2-6, lost to Jacksonville. They were up 17-0 in this game, then got outscored 27-3. The Raiders are 2-6. And McDaniels, listen, I didn't like when they hired him, and I don't like him now. I think he's a good coordinator. I do not think McDaniels is a good head coach. I said it from the start. Remember, the Raiders, when they let Gruden go last year, had the special teams guy coach the rest of the year. He got him into the playoffs. They quickly jettisoned him out. I think he's a special teams coach of the Packers now. And they brought in McDaniels. McDaniels supposed to be the savior, the offensive guru. Davis said nothing but great things about him. He has been an epic fail so far through 8 games. 2-6. 2-6. And you couldn't hold a 17-point lead against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And they got outscored 27-3 the rest of the way by a Jaguar team that had lost a bunch of games. I mean, come on. Come on, Las Vegas. That's a terrible job. Awful job. To me, they can let McDaniels go right now. I do not believe in him at all. Just lose, baby. And I'm not, I'm not picking this game. This is a throwout. I can't stand either team this year. This is a throwout game all the way. Raiders stumbling and bumbling. Colts just fired their coach. The running back's hurt. They got a rookie quarterback in there. It's a total mess. I'm staying away from the throwout. Throwout game. Pick number 9. Pick number 10. Let's go to the frozen tundra of Green Bay with the Dallas Cowboys at -4.5 against the Green Bay Packers. Dallas 6-2 coming off a bye. Green Bay, they're down to 3-6 loss to Detroit. Rodgers was awful. 3 picks. What a pitiful performance by the Packers. They are done. Done. There's no coming back, and I think we've seen it. I think we've seen the best Aaron Rodgers. I think that's it. I think he's shot now. I do not see Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay recovering from this, not only this year, but in the future. There's too many young guns out there now. Too many good young quarterbacks. Too many good young teams. I think the Packers and the Bucks and a few other teams, they had their day. I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I think we've seen the best of Aaron Rodgers. And now the Packers just signed him to this huge contract extension. Oh my goodness, the Packers look awful. They got bamboozled by the Lions of all teams. The Lions! Oh my. Listen, if you asked me who was going to win, I'd say Dallas straight up in the money line. How could you trust Green Bay? That Dallas defense should swallow Green Bay up. Is Green Bay going to be able to score? They couldn't score against Detroit! How are they going to score against Dallas? Dallas should maul them. Dallas's defense should eat Green Bay up alive, and I don't care if the game's in the tundra. That's not going to matter here. Dallas defense dominates this game. I like the boys to win in the money line. How about them Cowboys? That's pick number 10. Pick number 11, let's go out to sunny Los Angeles with the LA Rams at -3 against the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals down to 3-6, lost to Seattle. What else is new? Arizona can't get out of their own way. Arizona, they had a stat on Arizona. Arizona this year has been behind, when you add up all their games, 80% of the time. They just cannot get out of their own way. That coach is going soon. Rams are down to 3-5, lost to Tampa Bay, had the game won. They should have sealed this game up, couldn't do it, couldn't make a stop at the end. Now the Rams fall at 3-5. It's not happening for the Rams this year. And I know they had a big second half of the season last year. It's not going to happen the same way this year. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. This is another messy, ugly game. I'm going to move it to 9 and take Arizona just because I don't think either one of these teams can blow out the other. They both have problems, so I think it's going to be close. So I'll take Arizona +9 and a 2-team teaser. That's pick number 11. Pick number 12, this is the Sunday night football game. Let's go out to Santa Clara with the San Francisco 49ers are -6.5 against the LA Chargers. Chargers are up to 5-3, beat Atlanta in a close football game. San Francisco 4-4 coming off a bye. San Francisco's a team to keep an eye on the second half of the year. This is a team that has a lot of talent. This is a team that can surprise people. Listen, they've done it before. They got to a Super Bowl, were a hair away from beating the Chiefs in that Super Bowl. They were a hair away of beating the Rams last year and getting to the Super Bowl. They have talent. They have the capability of going on the road and upsetting teams like they did last year when they beat Dallas, when they beat Green Bay. This team, when healthy, has talent, especially defensively, and when you can make stops, it gives yourself a chance. Let's keep an eye on the Niners going forward. This is a very interesting game. I'm going to move it to 12.5 and take the Chargers. I think the spread is a little too high. And if I can get the Chargers with 12.5 points, I like that. I think the Chargers will be in this game. Chargers are very talented. So I think they can stay under that number in the two-team teaser. I like the Chargers plus 12.5 on Sunday Night Football. That's pick number 12. Pick number 13, this is the Monday Night Football game. Let's go to Philadelphia with the Philadelphia Eagles, a minus 11 against the Washington Commanders. Philadelphia 8-0 beat the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Washington is down to 4-5, lost to Minnesota, blew a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter, and Heineke had an awful interception in the fourth quarter of that game. And that's why you can't trust a guy like Heineke to win big. That interception was awful. I think it was, I forgot the score at the time. Was it 17-10, 17-14? And Heineke just air-mailed the ball, over the middle of the field, picked off. From there, Washington never recovered, and Minnesota took over. Heineke does some decent things from time to time, but you're never going to win big with him. He's not the answer long term. Listen, I'm going to move the line to 17 and take Washington. I think these division games, you always got to kind of lean towards the underdog. And I'm not saying Washington's going to win the game, but if I can get 17 points with Washington, I'm going to take it. And like I said, Philadelphia, they've had it all their way so far. You can't expect them to win big every single week. And I think the first time they played Washington, they beat them by 16, so that was under the 17. I think Washington can hang under that number here. So I'll go Washington plus 17. 17's too much to turn down. So I'll go that way on Monday Night Football. And pick number 14, this is the dreaded Thursday Night Football game. Listen, I'm not going to pick this game, but I'll go through it with you. Let's go to Carolina, where the Atlanta Falcons are minus 2.5 against the Carolina Panthers. Falcons down to 4-5, lost a heartbreaking game to the Chargers. That's a game they could have won. And then Carolina, they're down to 2-7, lost to Cincinnati. They just got bombed in the first half. Didn't show up in the first half. They got outscored 35-0 in the second half. Played a little better in the second half, but it didn't matter. And now you got Mayfield back in there at quarterback. So here we go again with Carolina. I mean, what a mess. This game is just a disaster. If I had to play it, I'd probably move it to 8.5 and take Carolina, but I would stay away from this game. This is just a disgraceful game on Thursday Night Football. Atlanta in Carolina. Oh, please. I won't be watching this one on Amazon Prime. So that's it. Those are your picks for week number 10. Like I said, 11-3 last week, 98-31 through 9 weeks. Let's keep it going. And again, not many great games this week. Besides Buffalo, Minnesota, you don't have another game with two winning teams. And that's been the theme the last month of the season. That's not good. You have a lot of losing teams and a lot of losing teams playing each other. And I noticed a lot of fans have been complaining about it. I know a lot of people I know, their team's out of it already. They're not watching football the rest of the year. I know a lot of Packer fans, they're not even watching. I know a lot of Steeler fans, they're not even watching, so they're not betting either. So we need some better matchups here as we come down the stretch. And let's keep an eye on who gets hot from this point forward. Let's keep an eye on that. Thanks as always for the support. Stay happy, healthy, and safe. Pick a lot of winners. Make a lot of money. I'll talk to you guys next week. Take care.